people have heard of the name Christian Dior. His name comes up in very popular fashion magazines and articles around the world. Christian Dior is one of the most prestigious and well-known fashion designers of the 20th century and is still known today. Based on research, I will present information to you based on his life and his accomplishments. His early life was according to the article Will the Ladies Obey Mr. Dior? By Ernest Hauser. Christian Dior was born in 1905 in France. There he grew up with his parents and developed a love for the arts. As a boy, Dior longed to become an architect as well as an artist, and at the age of 23, his father gave him enough money to open a gallery. Dior presented many famous artists as well as obscure artists, which made his gallery diverse and interesting for those who visited it. However, when World War II began, Dior had to close his gallery, and he served as an officer in the war for 4 years. After the effects of the war, Dior again turned his sights towards the fashion industry and the arts. According to Dorothy Rampelski, in her article, Christian Dior, King of Couture, at the end of the war, Dior was given the opportunity to work with a childhood friend, Marcel Bussac, who owned a clothing company. Dior showed great promise while working with Marcel and was allowed to help with the design process. Marcel saw the talent and allowed Dior to help him and encouraged him to become a better artist as well as a designer. Hauser writes that because of the resources that were available to him, Christian soon made a name for himself within the company and successfully launched his first fashion couture show in February of 1947. According to the Columbia Electronic Encyclopedia, he established his house of couture in Paris in 1946, and by 1958, he had launched 15 salons all over the world in 15 different countries, employing more than 2,000 people. His success led to greater success, and his name spread across the country, and women all over the world embraced his designs. According to Therese Barker, author of the article Christian Dior, the Man Who Made the World Look New, almost single-handedly, Dior revived the post-war French fashion industry and was the first fashion designer to be accepted by high society. As Rampelski writes, throughout the 1950s, Dior was considered the best couture house, and his shows drew more than 2,500 people. They longed to see his collections and piled in. Hauser states that on average, most of Dior's designs were priced to cost to a customer from $300 to $2,400, and even more depending on the design. Dior was a huge advocate for the freedom of choice in relation to the fashion industry. He was devoted to creating beautiful women's fashion that would entice women all over the world to fall in love with his collections. But as Hauser quotes Dior himself, "Women still have to accept what I propose, and women's have mind of their own." He used that to his advantage and did the best to design for women. According to Rampelski, Christian Dior died in 1957 by choking. The work and talent Dior gave to the fashion industry made a lasting impression that despite his early death will be warmly embraced for decades. Today, Dior's company is still successful and endeavors to continue to design and to present the passion with the same vision that Dior had. Dior's life was known by the love he had for the art and fashion, and by the humility that he showed with which he designed. His legacy and addition to the fashion industry will be celebrated for decades to come.